Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. We are live and back for part 3 of the Visibility Breakthrough series. And today we are doing a Q&A session. So as you come in, say hi. Let me know where you're joining from in the chat. I would love to know. If this is the first time you're joining this series, know that we have done part 1 and part 2. So we started off this visibility series by talking about the hidden cost of staying under the radar. So we talked about the fact that we haven't really got time to be sitting around, especially now where we are faced with AI and so many changes in the world of work. It's so important for us to lean into that human connection. And one way that we do that is to make sure that people are seeing us and that we are connecting with the right people. So we talked about the importance of showing up on day 1, part 1. And then yesterday we talked about the simple ways that you can raise your visibility. I know that it is challenging for a lot of people to figure out how they go about getting more visible. And yesterday we were talking about some simple strategies that you can implement. And today I want to answer your specific questions that relate to your situation. Hey, Maren, nice to see you. So I have some pre-submitted questions that some of the lovely people who have been on the lives the last few days have submitted, and I'm going to run through those. But as I am speaking, if you have a question that relates to visibility, raising your profile, then feel free to type it in the chat and I will circle back to that at the end of going through the questions that I already have. I'm super excited about today. I like doing Q&A. I've also really enjoyed showing up live again. I used to do a weekly live stream for a number of years, and I kind of stopped doing that and was giving all of my focus and attention to my podcast. But I've really enjoyed being live, and this is an example of being visible. So me showing up 3 days in a row and sharing my perspective has made me more visible to new people in a way that I wasn't before. So sometimes it can be a short, sharp burst of visibility. It doesn't always have to be a commitment to an ongoing thing. You can think about different ways that you can be visible. I had the idea to do this earlier on this month and was like, right, I'm just going to put it on and I'm just going to do it. So let's not overthink. Let's just take action and then learn from taking that action. Now, if this is the first time that you are catching one of my live streams, my name is Janine Esbrand. I am an executive coach, a speaker, corporate trainer, soon to be author, and I help new and emerging leaders to increase their influence and their impact. And I'm just really passionate about helping people to show up fully in the work that they do so that they can make the most impact. So this topic is really one of the core pillars of the framework that I have developed, where I support people with their career development. Attraction, like attracting opportunities, is one of the key pillars of the work that I do, and visibility is such a key part of that. If you are not showing up and people don't know that you're there and people don't know what you can do, then it's really hard for you to attract opportunity. So my hope is that you've been able to take some nuggets from this visibility series. If this is the first one that you're catching and you haven't joined the other ones, they are there on my profile. Go and look at past events and you will see the replays, and I highly suggest that you go and watch them. The other thing I want to say about visibility is that I am currently accepting a few clients to do summer intensives with me. So these are half-day coaching experiences where I am working with people to map out their visibility strategy and helping them to understand what it is they need to be doing specific to them, their goals, their industry, and then giving them the support that they need to set those things up so that it isn't the second guessing or trying to figure it out, but actually I can share with you the wisdom of lived experience, of what's worked with other clients, of what is working now in 2025, and we can map that out together. So that if that's of interest to you, I will share the link to that in the comments later. But I wanted to share that up front before we dig into these juicy, amazing questions. So first question, and I'm going to put them up on the screen so that you can see them as well. First question that we had was, I think this was a question from Esther. And she had said, I want to be more visible, but I find it draining as neurodivergent. So need to decide what this looks like. So she made this as a comment, and I said I wanted to address this and answer this for anyone else who is feeling like you want to be visible, but there are reasons why being visible in the traditional sense doesn't feel like it's going to work for you. So whether that is neurodivergence or whether that is another reason, maybe you have a physical restriction that prohibits you from really showing up in the way that you want to. Let's talk a little bit about how it can look different. So firstly, I want us to really think about what is the definition of visibility that we are thinking about when those doubts come to mind. So sometimes you can be thinking, okay, in order for me to be visible, I need to show up consistently on a daily basis, or I need to be on social media or on LinkedIn, and I need to be posting regularly, or I need to be going to every networking event. I need to be doing all the things, and that equals visibility. And when you think like that, then it's hard to see how, okay, if I'm somebody who can't sustain that level of activity, then how am I going to be visible? So what we want to do is really look at the definition and define what visibility actually means for you, given the goals that you have. So if you are somebody who isn't able to show up consistently, like as in I can't be online every single day, I can't be doing all the things in all the places, that's okay. What we want to be doing is saying, what is your goal? What is your goal? Why is it that you want to get visible? What are you trying to achieve? And once we're clear on that, then we can say, well, what is the thing that is going to give you the most traction towards the goal that you have? So, for example, if you're saying, okay, I want to raise my profile because I'm shifting into a new industry and I want more people to know that this is the work that I do now, and I do want to leverage LinkedIn, or I want to leverage another social media platform, the rhetoric, or what we hear a lot of the time, is like, you got to post, you got to be there a couple times a day, you got to be committed, you got to be consistent. And there's different ways to be consistent. Okay, there's different ways to be consistent. Consistent might look like you spending a day, a month, or an afternoon batching a whole load of content, whether that is short videos or images or text that you want to share, and then you scheduling that and rolling that out over the course of a month. You can be consistently showing up, but that doesn't mean you have to be consistently present in the moment every time you show up. So that's one example. If you realize that actually I want to do the networking piece and I want to meet with people, maybe you're very specific about the type of events that you go to or the amount of people that are at the event. If you find that it's draining or it's overwhelming, like figure out what it is that you need in order for you to be able to show up in terms of frequency and in terms of environment. Like, I know for me, I've got an ADHD brain, right? So I can be like all over the place in terms of like jumping from one thing to another to another. So what works for me is having systems in place. Having systems in place that I can follow and make sure that I'm following, so that I'm not relying on my memory to do things. Because if I rely on my memory to do things, it's not going to happen. So like, if it's not in the calendar, it's not going to happen. If it's not in my project management system as a task, it's not going to happen. So you can use systems to support you in your goals. So I would say, if you are looking at it, it isn't so much like, can I do this? It is, how am I going to do this? And when you're asking yourself how I'm going to do this, you want to assess, okay, what do I have at my disposal so that I can achieve the goal that I have? So I hope that's helpful. If you have any follow-up questions on that, then do type it in the chat and I can circle back to that. So that was the first question. Next question that I'm answering is around LinkedIn. So the next few questions are around LinkedIn specifically, but I think that this can apply to other platforms too. So if you're considering showing up and, being more visible in other spaces, what I'm going to share with you around the answers to these questions are also relevant. So this question here, what do you think are key elements of a strong presence on LinkedIn this year, 2025? So I think across the board, regardless of whether it's 2025 or any other year, it's so important for you to have a strong profile, a fully optimized profile. That means you need to have a photo that isn't a random selfie photo, but a professional looking photo. You need to make sure that your headline is saying what you want it to say, not the default that LinkedIn would give you, which is so and so working at whatever your top company is, your most recent company or the current place that you work. We don't just want that. We want your headline to speak to what it is you do, who it is you serve, and like the impact you want to make. And you want to make sure that you are creating a profile that is speaking to the person that you want to view it, right? So view your LinkedIn profile as a sales page for you and what it is you're promoting, and think about, is my headline speaking to what it is I do and who it is I want to attract, right? So you want to make sure that that headline is good and that you have your keywords in there that are speaking to your industry, your space, your client, like who it is you're trying to attract. And you want to make sure that that header, that banner header at the top is fully utilized. That is prime real estate. You can either have it blank, you can have a lovely picture there, or you can use that header to speak to what it is that you do. When people are scrolling, if you have your specific what you do or who you're helping, or telling people what it is you want them to do, so a clear call to action in that banner area, you're going to get people doing what you want them to do. So sometimes we can make things a little bit complicated, right? At the end of the day, if there's something you want people to do, so if you want them to click the link in your click the link that's below the header, or you want them to book a call with you, or you want them to sign up for your newsletter, like put it on the banner at the top, and people are more likely to do that once they arrive on your profile. So I think that's important. And then in terms of specifically 2025 and beyond, I think using your LinkedIn profile to share your perspective, your true human perspective, is going to help you to have a strong presence. Why? Because AI, like people are using AI all the time, and more you're seeing people use AI to share their perspective, as in they are allowing AI to write it for them fully. So you're getting lots and lots of AI bots writing content on LinkedIn, and you're not necessarily seeing people's true personality or hearing their true thoughts. So if you can be a person who absolutely use AI to support you with idea generation and maybe refining posts, but allow yourself to bring the essence of what you want to say to the table, so that when people are viewing your LinkedIn profile, they are seeing you and they are seeing what you are saying, what you think, your perspective, so that they can engage with that. I think that is the thing that's going to give you that edge when it comes to LinkedIn as it gets more and more busy with AI content. And as I'm sharing this, let me know in the chat if this is resonating. If this makes sense, then type below. It's good for me to hear that this is hitting. And then also, if there's any follow-up questions, add those in the chat as well. Okay, next question. I'm going to read this one out. So there was a bit, I couldn't fit all the words on the screen of the question. So let me just read it out. So you have the full question. So it says, we see a lot of these ads on LinkedIn from people nowadays with send a connection request and DM me the word fill in the blank, and I'll send you fill in the blank. What is your take on that? To me, it starts to feel, oh gosh, here we go again. What would be a good way to show your services without being overly promotional or salesy? So this is a good question. And I think when you are approaching selling your services, sometimes it's important to have a bit of a mindset reset. Okay, because when you are thinking about the experiences that you have had that haven't been that great when it comes to selling, like often we think of used car salesmen who are just trying to sell the product to you, even if it isn't for you. A lot of people have that kind of reservation, like, I don't want to, if I'm selling my service and I'm selling my product, I don't want to come across as that person who's being pushy and trying to force the product or the service on people. And there I understand that, I totally understand that. However, I think it's important to recognize that when it comes to selling your service or the product that you have, in order to sell it, people need to know about it, right? In order to sell it, people need to know about it. So the onus is on you to be able to show up and let people know what is available. Okay. And the shift that was really helpful for me when I first started my coaching and consulting business is really moving away from thinking I'm selling my service to moving towards I am serving. Like, if I want to serve people, if I know that I have something that's going to help people, in order for those people to find me and know that I have that service, I have to share it with them. So I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not actually trying to sell anything. I'm trying to share what it is that I have that can help you and give you the opportunity to make a decision as to whether or not you want to learn more about it or not. I'm not trying to tell you, you must get this thing, you must buy this thing. And even when I have coaching conversations and discovery calls with potential clients, I go into it very open-minded, and I'm like, okay, what is it that you're trying to achieve? Where are you trying to get to? What is your biggest challenge? And I use that to determine whether I actually think I'm a good fit, whether I actually think that my service can support. And if I do think that, I can then share it with them. And at the end of the call, I make the invitation. If I think I can help, it's like, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is aligned? Do you think this is what you're looking for? And if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. And there might be something else that's out there for them. So I think if you frame the way that you are approaching people in a way where it's like, hey, I have this service. Is this something that would be supportive for you? Then it can feel a lot less like, ah. And so the message itself, you really have to think about, how do I want to frame it? Because yes, a lot of people will put out there that I have this thing. If you want to learn more about it, send me this word. And there's reasons for that. There's automations that might be in place on the back end where, you know, if you send the word, then they automatically have something that will be sent back to you. But ultimately what they're doing is they want to give you the opportunity to raise your hand. Because if they send that to you and then you are interested, then they can then send you what they're looking for. So they're not trying to bombard lots of people with things that they don't want, but they're gauging interest. They're like, is this of interest to you? If it is, raise your hand. So I don't have an issue with those types of messages. I think you can find the wording that is going to be right for you and that works for you. The other thing that you can think about is, what are some of the other ways that I can make invitations for people to work with me? So if you don't like the idea of, you know, cold messaging and sending people messages on LinkedIn or on email or whatever, think about ways that you can create environments where people can find out about what it is that you do and have the opportunity to raise their hand. So let's use this visibility series as an example. I'm promoting my summer intensives right now, and I have come and I have done these visibility sessions over the last few days. And in every session, I have shared about the summer intensive. My thing is, if we are doing a visibility breakthrough series and we are talking about visibility, I have a service that can support you with your visibility. So I am going to share with you on these calls, on these live streams, that I have the service. If it's something that you're interested in, you will reach out to me, you will look at the page, you will find out more details. If it's something that you're not interested in, you just won't. Right? But if I don't tell you that it's available, then you definitely won't be able to take me up on the offer. So if you can find spaces or create spaces where you're sharing your expertise and what it is that you do with people, then you can make an invitation. Sometimes that can feel easier. I do the same on my podcast. Every week I publish a podcast and I share on different topics, and I let people know that you can book to have a call with me to explore one-to-one coaching, right? Every now and then you'll see on my profile that I will share that I am a speaker and I run workshops and I do that kind of stuff. So you have to let people know what you do. Otherwise, they're not going to know. Okay, I hope that's helpful. I think that was one for you, Maren. So let me know if that makes sense. Next question. This goes back to LinkedIn, and it is talking about which parts of your profile have the most impact on visibility. So your headline is so important, because for two reasons. One, the keywords that you use will potentially come up in search. So if someone is searching for you, and when I say searching for you, searching for what it is that you do, they're going to be typing words into LinkedIn. And if you have the right words in your profile, your profile may come up. So you want to make sure that the headline has the keywords that someone who is your target person would be searching for. And then your about section, also the keywords in there can help to come up on search. But when it comes to visibility, you want to think about two things. You want to think about people that are going into search, and then people who are engaging on the platform. So your headline follows you around on LinkedIn. So if you're somebody who is starting to engage in conversations on other people's posts or in comment sections or in groups, your comment is wedded to your headline. So the first part of your headline is what people can see. So make sure that make sure the headline is good, because if you make a good comment, they're going to see the headline, and then that can prompt them to go and look at your profile. So the headline is really, really key. And when you're just getting started on LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you are thinking about who you're connected with. So you can be strategic and intentional about your connections, right? You can connect with more of the people that you want to get in front of so that you can have more visibility with those people. Next question. Could you tell me about the LinkedIn algorithm? How will it pick you up, and how often does one need to post? Is it super important to get engagement in the first hour after posting? A few questions in one there. The LinkedIn algorithm is like any other social media algorithm. It changes. It changes. Even up to this week or last week, people have been sharing in the LinkedIn communities around the fact that we keep seeing posts from like 2-3 weeks ago. So before, you would regularly see posts from new people, like new posts that were posted in the last day or the last few days, but we're starting to see posts come up on our feed that are from a few weeks ago. That's been an algorithm change. They decided that they wanted to change how they're showing content and showing things that are more relevant to people versus time bound. So that's just like a most recent change of the algorithm. So it changes all the time, but some of the fundamental things that you need to be mindful of that are going to impact your visibility is, one, you want to have at least 500 connections. Like there's different aspects of your profile that you want to make sure that you're fully optimized, and having 500 connections tells LinkedIn that you are a serious LinkedIner, that you are somebody who's going to be using the platform and engaging here. So they're more likely to share your content with more people if you have at least 500 connections. And if you are posting consistently, so like I said earlier, consistency doesn't have to look like all of the time every day. If you decided to commit to posting 3 LinkedIn posts a week, if you are in that zone where you want to be posting content, then that is more than enough. The good thing about LinkedIn compared to other social media platforms is that content lives on here for a longer time. It isn't like TikTok or Instagram where it's here and then it's gone and you got to post something else. Like you can see posts from 3 weeks ago. You can see posts from a week ago, which means that if you're posting things, people can still see them long after you've posted it. So when you're getting started, I would say it's much better for you to even just say, I'm going to commit to once a week or twice a week to get going and get used to that cadence. And then you can increase it as time goes on. And yes, it is good to not post. They call it post and ghost, when you just post and then you disappear. If you post and then you have other people commenting on your profile post, you want to be there and you want to be responding, because the activity on that piece of content straight after it's posted will dictate whether or not LinkedIn pushes it out more. So what happens is you will do a post, LinkedIn will show that post to a small pool of people within your connections, and if that small pool of people seem to like it, as in they are engaging with it, they are liking it, they are making comments on it, then LinkedIn's like, okay, great, this content is good, let's push it out to more people. So the benefit for you when it comes to you commenting and staying around when you first post is that if someone comments and then you respond, that's going to count as 2 comments for the LinkedIn algorithm. So you want to, then it's like, oh, there's activity underneath this post, let's push it out to more people. So yes, it is important, if you are posting, to keep an eye on the post and how it's doing, and engaging with every single person that will post, because then LinkedIn will see that it's a popular piece of content and then they'll share it with more people. And then the last question around LinkedIn here is using hashtags still recommended? I think so. I use them. I would say three hashtags, 4 hashtags is helpful. Even sometimes people will use hashtags to search for for what they're looking for. So say I was looking for posts on leadership. Sometimes I will go in and I will search hashtag leadership and I will select posts in the last 24 hours to see what people are talking about in this space, because that's the space that I'm in. So the hashtags are one way that people can find you, and you can come up with a hashtag that you use all the time, and that you apply to your content, that people get used to seeing around your content. That's absolutely something you could do. So yes, use the hashtags, I would say. I'm just gonna have a look and see if there's any other comments. So anyone got any other questions? Those were some really, really good, juicy questions, particularly around LinkedIn and showing up. I want you to be thinking about how you can be applying some of what I've said to LinkedIn to other platforms that you might be considering. So like if you're considering doing more in-person networking and you're thinking about, you know, what are the most important parts of my profile when it comes to me being in person that I want to think about, that could be something like your outfit. Like, what are you wearing? What impression is it giving? Is it giving the type of impression that you want to have? Are you wearing something that's memorable? What are you saying? Like, what is your elevator pitch? What do you want people to know about you and remember about you? So in all of the different channels, when it comes to visibility, you want to be thinking about how can I be both strategic and intentional when it comes to the way that I'm showing up. Okay? All right, no other questions? Let me know in the chat if you've learned something today and if this has been helpful for you. I've really, really enjoyed doing this this visibility series. I think I might have to bring back my live streams on a more regular cadence going forward. I was going to say I'm a performer at heart. I do love being on stage. I am a keynote speaker. I love running and facilitating workshops. And when I'm not doing that in person, doing it virtually is the next best thing. And then if I'm not doing that, being on a live like this where I have people who are engaging in the chat is the next best thing after that. And so yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing more of that. And speaking of that, if you have been tuning into this visibility series and you are looking for someone to come into your organization and do a talk or workshop around getting more visible, holla, call me, let's chat. I have a signature talk that's called Being the CEO of Your Career. I also speak on leveraging your strengths as a new leader, and I talk about visibility and personal branding as well. So if you want a dynamic speaker who's going to bring all the energy, then keep me in mind. So that is what I want to share with you today. Don't forget about the summit intensives. We can absolutely have a conversation to see if working together in that capacity could be a good fit. If you've enjoyed this series and you want to work more closely together, let's talk. I am going to be running these sessions between now and mid-August, and they are half-day sessions, so we can find a time that can work. But if you have more questions, then do DM me. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Maren said, I have been connecting with people in the Notion community and it's so awesome. Absolutely. Like Maren has been absolutely killing it when it comes to visibility, because she's following the breadcrumbs. So she's connecting with people and then she's really leaning into those connections, and then those connections are leading to other connections, and she's starting to raise her profile in a brand new space for her. So Maren, I just want to say kudos to you for the work that you're putting in, because this is the foundation work, right? And this is what happens. There's often this it's almost like the snowball effect where you start and it's like, okay, I have a conversation with one person, let's see how that goes. But then that one person can introduce you to another person or introduce you to a whole community that you didn't even know exists. And then you go there and then it's like, oh, there's all these other people. And then you start connecting there and it grows and it grows and it grows as much as you allow it to. So sometimes you might go to an event and you haven't made any connections, or you haven't found that person that you really vibed with that then turns into something else, and that's okay. But there's more opportunities in more spaces. So if one didn't work, you can say, okay, that was an okay event, but maybe I need to look at other events, or ask the people that I'm now connecting with what events they go to. So if that in-person networking or that virtual networking is working for you, then look at ways that you can leverage that and continue. Yeah, of course, Maren. And Andrea said, I need to bring you to WWF. I would love, love to come. Andrea is amazing. I just wrapped up being the bond coach on the most recent cohort of Upfront Global. If you haven't heard of Upfront Global, you don't know much about them, you need to go and check out Upfront Global. It's an incredible community. It's an incredible organization, and they have bonds which are kind of like 6-week live programs that are focused on building confidence. And I had the amazing opportunity to partner with them and be the bond coach for this cohort that just went, that brought together these amazing women from different charities. There was over 3,000 people in this bond, and it was just incredible just seeing everyone not only just come together and support each other, but implement and see the difference. And Andrea has been one of those people who has showed up and been visible. So, yesterday, when I was giving you the 3 different ways that you can raise your visibility, like the simple ways, and the second one was about leaning fully in to where you are and showing up fully where you are. Andrea is a person who encapsulates that, because I, as a coach who's in the community, going through and answering lots of comments and responding to things, I noticed Andrea. And the reason why I noticed her amongst the 3,000 people that are in the program is because she was willing to show up and share. She was willing to comment on live calls, to comment in the community, to give her wins. And because of that, I now know who she is. Of course, she's here, but I knew who she was inside of the Upfront container because of how she showed up. So that, like, just a great example of, it's not, like I said, these things are not easy, but they can be simple. It's like, okay, I'm here in this experience, in this space. How do I make the most of it? How do I put the most in so I can get the most out, is the question we want to be asking ourselves. So yes, just want to shout out Andrea for that. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions in the chat. Thank you all for being here today. It has been absolutely incredible to do this visibility series over the last few days and have your participation and your engagement. If you're catching this on the replay, please do type your comments, your thoughts on what I've said in the chat. If you have follow-up questions, type them as well, because I can and I will be in the comments responding to anything that comes up there. So that's it. I'm also quite proud of myself. I've kept each one of these under just at half an hour, because I can chat. I like to chat, but we've managed to keep them at half an hour, which has worked very well. And so yeah, I am happy. So thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will speak to you very, very soon. Bye. Thank you.